The audience I have in mind for this one is research scholars after I'm dead. The union has initialized my case AD from the time of my birth, meaning they're not going to talk about it honestly until I'm dead. They're murderers, they're crazy, there's nothing I can do about that. Most of my tapes are for my living peers. Um, for no other reason than by trying to call the attention of the police to my testimony. I can show their complicity through unwillingness to investigate properly, justifying my hard words at minimum. That's at least one psychological satisfaction that I got from that. But this issue has to do with the way that the penitentiary system, the VA, and the murderers in the Green Party have aligned. They kidnapped and tortured me and brutally forced me to use inhalants and severe neurological agents in climates of violent adult pedophilia as a very little boy, about 11 or 12 years old, who they kidnapped and tortured. They say that's not true. They say that my looking at pornography as an adult proves that I was an overdose runt. And that this is the parochial military moving in to justify and cover for the AIDS attack, in which I was a guinea pig, an object lesson. Okay, so yes, I look at adult pornography because I'm lonely and fall in love with the character of certain types of women. I avoid women I actually court using their images for autoerotic sex. Autoerotic sex means that I satisfy myself. It's nobody's business. If you make it a peep show, it's because you're sick and crazy. Okay, now occasionally the sheriff deputies have tried to forcibly upload algorithms of the wrong type of smut, and it's disgusting. And I've complained about it and reported it to the FBI because the evil that I was used for was a genocide pornography ring. There's a difference between beautiful images that you consider erotic, and I go to Japan to look because they have a history of favor for erotic arts. It's in their woodcuts, and there's an art history to it. And also, I was um, in love at one point with a woman who I had to avoid for reasons and differences in politics and the questions of whether or not she was behind what happened to me and was luring me because they used a Venus flytrap model. The police have tried to say that because I used marijuana semi compulsively as a deaf man trying to stop absolute isolation and loneliness by assimilating in a Pittsburgh public high school, that therefore anything that was done to me was justified. That's what some of the police say. Some of the police say that's not true, that it doesn't make that logical stretch. But the murderers in the police department, working with the Green Party, the Veterans Administration, do say that, working with the Beatles, working the opium war aspect of genocide pornography, do say that. No, I do not care to stop looking at beautiful pornography. Yes, I think it's an invasion of privacy to make it into a psychotic peep show by the police and psychiatric services. No, I am not in any way um, violating the laws of the structures of the legal system or inclined to do so in any possible way. I'm even enforcing the laws. These sadists want to protect child pornography snuff film operators. That's what these police murderers, the Veterans Administration, and psychiatric services are doing when they're punishing me for testifying about organized smut ring, and then punishing me by saying I was just one of them, as witness the fact that I neuroconvulsively smoked pot when I was desperately lonely with a crowd in high school who at least welcomed me as a deaf person in their midst, so I wasn't lonely all the time. Two, that because I look at pornography, I'm therefore vice addled. It's a lie. I went to school and got straight A's, Phi Theta Kappa, and never bothered anybody with my private collection of images, all of which I consider to be beautiful. I wouldn't have them. And I'm a painter. I do paintings. I've done paintings that were celebrated that had images that were of the French liberation style. Okay, so these people are criminally insane. That's my point. They're criminally insane. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. I'm an adult. What's wrong is they're in using it to interrogate, to promote their psychotic defense of pornographic snuff film, kitty mutilation, rings that the police are protecting. They indexed it Manson Cinema. Literally. Literally. I mean, they have I have papers in their handwriting indexing the whole thing as Manson Cinema. The police department, the Veterans Administration, and psychiatric services have for decades punished me, raped, and murdered my friends for my testifying because they say that using pot in a high school situation to avoid peer rejection and isolation and using pornography for what they admit is therapeutic. They cause me erectile dysfunction, they cause me neurotrauma, and they, by their own admission, have claimed in defense of themselves that it's therapeutic. I've never been exhibitionist about it, yet they have said things to me instead of offering me the right to remain silent, wear your inside out or else. And they plunged a neuroconvulsive implant that they surgically inserted into the psyche of a child who they intended to kill in pornographic genocide operation. That's the reality of the situation. Okay. I mean, I know you're not going to do anything about it. I know you're sick and crazy and you have no adulthood in your neighborhood. You have no comprehension of reality. You have no ethics. You have no moral code. You have nothing of the sort. But maybe someday in the distant future, a research scholar will emerge who has an iota of courage, who isn't a slave of Clint Eastwood, who doesn't lick the boot of Ronald Reagan and Prince Charles.